The Golden Knights take game one of the WCF in overtime on a Brett Howden game-winning goal. Just a minute 35 into the extra period. The opening game played out pretty much the way that we thought it would. Tightly contested, VGK 4-3 win. What's ahead for Sunday's game two of the series? We'll talk about that. We'll recap last night's game on the special edition coming up next.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi, everyone. Tony Cardasco along with Chris Golick from Las Vegas, a special weekend edition. Right here, you could find us at Locked On VGK, at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G on Twitter. Of course, the YouTube channel is where it's at, and that is Locked On Golden Knights. Subscribe there. So, Chris, again, special weekend edition. Thanks for doing this. I said, during
we're putting in overtime like the Golden Knights.
We have overtime, too. We're just going to go to overtime periods, 2 segments on today's show. Recap,
better than the other night.
Preview. Okay, yeah, for sure, because we could talk too. So we said this past week. I said the winner of each game in the best of 7 would have to score 4 goals instead of 3, the Pete DeBoer formula. So we got 4 last night. So it took for VGK to get the upper hand after game number 1. A couple of William Karlsson goals. Teddy Bluger goal.
I'm sorry. Can you say a little bit louder, please, Tony? A couple of what goals?
Teddy Bluger goal. And,
okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, the game winner with Brett Howden. 2 trick shots, I think, in this game for VGK does it. Now, 15 Golden Knights have scored playoff
2 trick
goals.
shots? Can you please expand on trick shots, please?
Okay. The boards are lively at T-Mobile Arena. We've talked about this a lot
yes.
on the show, how lively
yes.
they are.
Yes.
That was no one in the media asked in the aftermath if that was a set play. There was a double screen on the right side, and White Cloud, we had Karlsson leaking across from right to left, and White Cloud just put it off of the lively boards, and he was
Cassidy hit that a little bit. He hit that a little bit, basically, about not forcing if it's not there and just get it behind the net, because his words, the team is good back there. And sure enough, it worked out just fine. A little pinball, right? Little pinball action.
Okay, and then the other one, of course, Howden. That's a trick shot off of the back pad.
Well, I thought you were going to talk about. So this is actually, I got something kind of cool here. So the first goal, and this is a very fluky goal that the Dallas Stars got, where Jason Robertson ended up getting a redirect in front of the net. So at first we're watching like how this puck get turned over, and then I watched the replay on my phone later in the period and realized the puck bounced. I don't think it was quite by the Zamboni door, but it hit just a dasher and it came straight out. It's just bad luck. So one of the games I covered, we're going back sometime in probably the early springtime. I got there really early because traffic had been bad at T-Mobile Arena. I saw 2 people on the ice actually hitting pucks down the dashers. One was basically right around the red line between the benches, and the other person was at the blue line on the opposite side. And they were hitting the puck along the dasher to each other. And I'm like, why are these 2 guys out there? Like, what are they doing here, right? And then it kind of dawned on me, it's the 2 Zamboni drivers, and they're testing the dashers to make sure nothing is bouncing, and then they can go in there and fix it. Well, I'm not blaming the Zamboni drivers. Maybe I'm going to blame the Zamboni drivers. Yes, the first goal is the fault of the Zamboni drivers. So there you go, folks. There's a little inside knowledge for you.
Okay, so it hit a divot there on the ice. Bad ice for sure. And then Smith, I guess, deflected it to Rupe Hintz, and then, hey, Jason Robertson, first time scoring a goal in 9 games.
I don't like that. He looks so happy after that. I don't like that. I don't want him having confidence.
For sure. Balanced scoring for the Vegas Golden Knights. 15 players have scored goals now in the playoffs. That's just every night. It's a different player that steps up. It's a great sign for VGK. Jack Eichel without anything on his score sheet last night. Mark Stone didn't score. Marchessault, all the stars did not score. in that
I
game.
think Stone may have had an apple on the last one, but still, yeah, he definitely didn't pot one. Eichel still had a strong game though. Eichel was doing his thing where he was creating time. He created a lot of scoring chances out there. And listen, if you tell me we're going to get the first game without Eichel, without Stone, without Marchessault, et cetera, putting one in the net, that bodes well for the rest of the series because they are going to score, or at least they're going to play a big part in the scoring.
We had, Eichel had the breakaway early on, and then that was stopped by Ottinger. Later, the odd 2-on-1 where Eichel just waited too long and he passed it across to Ivan Barbashev, and then a great block there by
The
Esa Lindell.
defenseman, I mean, geez,
Esa
that was
Lindell
great.
made a terrific play on that. But even so, I just couldn't understand why Eichel waited too long.
He was waiting Ottinger out. He just wanted Ottinger to bite. That's what he wanted.
Wow. And neither team did well on power play opportunities. Special teams did not really come into play. VGK now 0 for 7 on the power play against Dallas. The Stars had 6 shots on goal in their first power play opportunity, and then none in their second. Not a lot of penalty minutes.
Where have we seen that before? Where have we seen that before in the power play, Tony?
Yeah, and for sure. Willie Karlsson, your guy. First multi-goal game in 218 games, dating back to February the 27th of 2021.
He was my lock of the night, Tony. I knew something. He was my lock of the night.
Was he really?
He had something good for breakfast last night. I heard through the pipeline, and he was ready.
Did you see? Okay, so second period scoring. So we saw Robertson gets that late goal after VGK tilts the ice the entire period. They dominated that first period. Then the late goal, the tip in, the odd play, and the deflection in by Robertson. And then second period again, VGK, what is it now? 20-5 in the second period in the playoffs, 20-5, the Karlsson goal. And then it was 1-1. And then we saw a really exciting third period of play. VGK, late after they had the lead, they were saying on the TV broadcast about the only thing they said right was, why is VGK playing prevent defense, at that stage of the game? They just sort of let up and they quit attacking. You need to keep attacking. It's playoff time, okay?
I don't know if they quit attacking. I mean, teams are going to make a push, and we're not talking a regular season game. We're not talking the Arizona Coyotes, who, are not going to make the playoffs, or the Buffalo Sabres, who are definitely not going to make the playoffs. Teams like that can certainly, roll over a little bit more. But we're talking the final 4 teams right now. We're in the conference finals. You have 4 very good teams who have earned the right to be here, and they're going to push. Was that a more of a result of VGK going in the prevent, or did Dallas just make the push a strong enough push that a team in the Western Conference final is capable of making? And I think credit Dallas. We can say, sure, it sucked that they led in the late goal. And Cassidy actually was a little tilted about that too. In his press conference, he's usually a little more happy-go-lucky about stuff like that. But you can tell, I think he basically said, we got to stop doing this, or these are going to catch up to us at some point. And luckily enough, the Winnipeg game, when they coughed up the 3-goal lead, they won in overtime. This situation, and credit the Dallas Stars for finding a way. Let's start by saying that. And credit the Golden Knights for also finding a way. And, Jake Ottinger is human. I thought in the first period, we were going to see the Jake Ottinger that was capable of stealing a game, and we did. The problem is he could not finish it. And you credit the Golden Knights. That start was phenomenal, Tony. The start that the Golden Knights had in that game until the power play, or the penalty kills, that's when momentum kind of went away. But Ottinger had a remarkable period. He needed to have that type of period. But Ottinger also showed us that he may not be capable of doing that at a 60-minute clip for, 4, 5, 6 straight games. So I'm happy about the goaltending matchup. I'm happy Ottinger let in a couple that maybe seemed a little bit fluky last night. Definitely the overtime goal. He just looked all out of sorts. And Howden, from behind the goal with the little chip in, and that's that.
Wow. More excited than Howden. Did you see Alec Martinez just mugged him? He was so excited and so happy for, this player. And that was his first goal of the playoffs, right? He came in, he did not play, I think, in the Winnipeg series. and I think he played in 4 games, right, in the Edmonton series or whatever. We don't have to be accurate on this show, of course, especially
Not Saturdays. Definitely not Saturdays. No.
no. And then and also, we saw some emotion let out by Bruce Cassidy. He was pumping his fist, after the win and doing a woo or
Well, no
whatever
one knew at
coming
first.
down
Like
the
the
tunnel.
horn didn't go on late. Like no one knew
Oh,
at first
seriously?
if that was a goal. It took a second, and I saw the players celebrating. I'm like, okay, this is good. And then they showed the replay right away, and that's when I'm like, okay, we're good now. And we had a couple of Stars fans that were a little chirpy behind us. They were a couple of very passionate people, and like I turned around because Kolasar got hurt. I couldn't see what hurt him, but I saw the refs going to review for a second.
It
I'm
was
like,
a
okay,
Pavelski's shot that
right.
actually that he blocked and went down. Yeah.
Yeah, no, after the fact, I know that, but the fact that they like the refs put the headset on for a very brief second, I said, is something happening here? Or are we about to get like a major or something like that? And like
Yeah.
the Stars fan immediately, like he was a little bit angrily chirping and stuff like that. And to the point where I just like, dude, and I point at the scoreboard, and
But
then
you
we had
had
a
on
couple up and backs after that.
you should have been hugging him like Martinez and Howden because you had on your green jersey last night. I mean, so
Man, Lee Orchard got me. Lee is the gentleman who plays the Golden Knight, and he put a Facebook post out. If I see any green jerseys in the Fortress this week, so me being me, I wore a green jersey to the Fortress last night, and he saw me downstairs like before they started their march across T-Mobile. Him and Chance were shaming me. I think he was swearing under his breath, if I got to be completely honest with you. And then he saw me. I was actually by one of the concession stands. He yelled at me again. And then he always comes up to our section in the start of the second period. And we exchange some pleasantries. We talk hockey, whatever. And this is the first time I've actually seen him in my section in the first period. I'm like, dude, I haven't seen you in the first period up here in 4 years. Are you really this mad at me right now? And we had a funny up and back and stuff. And he called me out on Facebook, and made a good time.
well, Cameron Hughes actually put the word out there, the crowd igniter, the other night, in saying, "Hey, if you were to wear if everyone were to wear a certain colored jersey, what would it be?" Gold, of course, was the logical choice, and he got everything going there. And so, two
Why is he
questions
not at the
about the
game? Why
crowd
is he not at the games right now? We
because they're
need
not
him.
paying him. They're not paying him.
Of course. I mean, I know it comes down to that, but
Okay, but I want to ask you about two things.
okay.
One was the percentage of fans that actually complied and wore the gold. Two, a lot of empty seats. Was that because of Electric Dallas Carnival or
So another person posted a picture of themselves wearing the green jersey on Lee's Facebook post of him shaming me. So I think we're gonna meet up on Sunday, and we're gonna have a beer together or something like that. No, I'm kidding. We're not gonna do that. But there was one other person at least that did not comply, quote unquote. And the second thing was the empty seats and all that. So listen, traffic sucks right now out there. I don't know how else to say it. The electronic daisy nonsense. I mean, I say that I should respect it more because it brings money to places besides the casinos, I guess. So that played a part. I did talk to a couple Stars fans who, it cost them a few bucks to be here and all that. The one, I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily a positive. This is something I'm in the minority in, but there were maybe 10 to 12% Dallas Stars fans in the arena, plus or minus.
Couldn't get rooms. Could not get rooms here.
No, they couldn't get rooms. And if you can get rooms if you're willing to pay for them, but who wants to spend $400 a night to stay at Circus? Like, come on, that's just friggin' ridiculous. It's, and that's where the NHL dropped the ball. You start this thing on Wednesday and Friday, you get them, at least they only got to deal with those crazy prices for one night, but the NHL doesn't care as long as they get their TV ratings, and ESPN gives us their low quality, broadcasts, and they get their advertising money all as well. Right, Tony?
The B-roll that they used was from, somebody pointed out, 15 years ago. You still had the Monte Carlo. There was no high roller. Like, it was just, oh my goodness.
Boardwalk wasn't still there at Aria, and City Center wasn't there.
Did you see
was it the old Hacienda? What was in front of you?
Yeah. The Hacienda was there. Yeah, for sure. And the 7 nightclub was right there. That was a fun
spot. I saw Stardust in the background. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so hits in the game. We didn't expect a very heavy hitting series, and VGK actually out hit the Dallas Stars 29-17. I mean,
That's
we were
nothing.
used
That's
to the
nothing.
heavy hitting in
And
the
that's
Edmonton
generous
series.
for both sides.
And
That's generous. There was not
in
that many
the
hits.
in the Winnipeg series, didn't they average like 100 hits per game?
It was definitely a much more physical series. And listen, if Dallas doesn't find a way to muck this up, it's going to be VGK should make a quick series out of this. The Dallas Stars, there's a huge gap between these teams. Let's face it. And I know
There
this
is.
is the one that I think so. So let's talk. Okay, 2 goals for the Dallas Stars. Fluky one off the dasher boards. Fine, whatever. That's going to
2
happen.
trick shots by VGK. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
but no, Teddy Bluger, he was in the right place at the right time, and Kolesar drove hard in net and
No,
apparently
I'm
lost
talking
his
about the
balance instead of
Carlson.
getting knocked
I'm
in.
talking about the Carlson
You're talking
Carom,
about behind the net, Tony.
and
Zach
behind the
Whitecloud made a
net.
good play. Give Whitecloud some credit
And
for doing a good play.
there should have been goalie interference.
You stop that. He got wiped out.
Kolesar.
He got wiped out. But listen, two goals that aren't necessarily clean goals for the Dallas Stars. You have the empty netter, give them credit for getting there, but if the net's not empty, they probably don't find a way to score there. So Dallas only gets one good goal, if you will, the second goal where Rupe Hintz, just beat Aiden Hill on a nice play. VGK should have had, if VGK played this game against Skinner from Edmonton, they score
goals.
They probably have 6 goals because he would have probably finally been pulled at the start of the third period because Woodcroft would have waited too long. But so if the Golden Knights play this type of game, Ottinger isn't going to be able to sustainability, our favorite word here in Vegas. He's not going to be able to sustain the same level of success. And we saw him. I'm not going to say he came apart, but he was definitely human. And I predicted Vegas in 5, and I'm going to stand by that. I feel that Vegas is the better team going away right now. Matchup to watch. I put this out there yesterday. Colin Miller and Brett Howden. They were going at it basically from one of their first couple of shifts, and all game long, those two were hitting each other. Even in the end of the game, Colin Miller's giving him a little cross check as Howden's going by him, and they're lining up next to each other on the face-off circle, doing their thing, and they're gonna have a tilt at some point. But Colin Miller, we know he does have this edge to him. Colin Miller is also going to come unwound and probably take a bad penalty and put this team in a bad spot sometime in this series too.
Coming up next, we'll have a preview of game number 2. Of course, Chris and I both want to see a tilt, and this has become, it's more of a tactical series, let's face it, but we'll talk about game number 2 coming up next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights, the weekend edition. For a championship team, it's all about making sure that every player is a perfect fit. And it is the same when it comes to your vehicle, and every part just needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, you should head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every part that you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know that the part will fit or your money is returned. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. When you drop by eBay Motors, and with 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time at all. After all, it is easy to bring home when you have the right parts, and everything's guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices at ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights, the weekend edition. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick here from Las Vegas. And don't forget, every Friday we have What the Friday. We will actually go to What the Friday on Friday instead of What the Thursday on Thursday and all that. And thanks again for making us your first listen each and every day. This is our special weekend edition. And so, Chris, we want to talk about adjustments for each side. A sloppy start for Dallas.
Terrible start.
Yeah, when Emily Kaplan had interviewed him, she was pressing him a little bit about why they got off to such a slow start. And he said, hey, you know what? We just played a game 7, although it's 4 days later. Okay, Pete. In any event, he just said they're on their home ice. We figured they'd have more jump, and we weather the storm. Golden Knights pretty much dominating the offensive zone time, especially in the first period. There was a Dallas drought, I think it was in the second period, of about 10 minutes without a shot on goal. But then also we saw Dallas with 9 consecutive shots on goal. So it was a little bit back and forth. You think it's 5 games. I don't know how this shakes out. Whoever scores late, obviously, it's whoever has that upper edge, the advantage late in games will be the eventual winner of the series. But I see balanced scoring again on both sides, balanced attacks. Everyone is expecting Dallas to come out with more jump, but this is sort of like the Lakers series against Denver. After game one, everyone figured that, oh, the Lakers came back a little bit late and had everything figured out. But will Dallas figure out a lot of these pieces in game number 2 on Sunday at 12 o'clock noon at the Fortress?
So here's what I like. It was a close game on the scoreboard, right? And we know Pete DeBoer. He's going to go into the locker room afterwards, all kind of, happy-go-lucky Pete, like, okay, guys, we were close on this one, just one more shot, whatever terminology they want to use, right? DeBoer is probably going to come out with the same exact, you expect maybe a better start from the Stars, but you're not going to see any major changes. You're not going to see him, pacing the bench. You're not going to see him doing anything out of sorts. Whereas the Golden Knights, same thing. Cassidy is going to say, boys, just do what we did on Friday and everything's going to be just fine. So it's kind of good that this game was somewhat close to the point where DeBoer isn't going to make, any panic changes or anything like that, because I do think this game was farther apart than the 4-3 schedule or the 4-3 score indicates. So Will Dallas start a little better? Fine. They did an okay job, Dallas Stars. This is getting traffic in front of Adin Hill, but they weren't able to get a lot of those tip plays and stuff, particularly that Pavelski is able to do. It was kind of cool. I was watching Pavelski and Colin Miller in warmups. They actually both kind of practiced little tip plays. So Colin Miller stands down in the corner. Pavelski stands at about the faceoff circle, and Colin Miller is just chipping pucks about waist high, and Pavelski is basically batting him down to himself and possessing him. So I thought that was a kind of cool thing to watch. And the same boat, the Golden Knights, they had so many, I feel like they had 3 or 4 high danger deflections in the first period alone. And again, credit Ottinger for saving every single one of those. But statistically, you're not going to save 4 or 5 deflections in a row like that. So if the Golden Knights can continue to get inside, which they did a very good job at doing, I think they can even do better as far as scoring 4 goals. And Adin Hill, credit him for the job that he did. No fluky goals that he personally gave up. He kept the team in. He made some big saves. And, it's nice when Jake Ottinger gets out-dueled by any goalie as far as, any team is concerned. Obviously, Adin Hill for the Vegas Golden Knights did it.
And Hill, 33 saves on 36 shots, but he did make the big save when it counted. He came up again with those timely saves.
A lot of saves, a lot of them.
As Cassidy
uses
would like
big body.
to say. And again, I still think the winner has to score 4 goals, where VGK now is 48-1 in games in which they scored 4 goals or more. 48-1.
So I dug up 2 stats I put up on Twitter yesterday. The last time the Golden Knights lost a game in via shootout or overtime when tied or leading starting the third period was the game against the Dallas Stars. I don't know, 2-3 weeks left of the regular season, sometime in April, where they lost in the shootouts. Before that, in the regular season, the last time the Golden Knights either coughed up a third period lead or lost in regulation with the game at least tied or better was all the way back to December 27th against the Kings. So Cassidy always talks about this being a veteran roster. These guys know how to close out games. Unfortunately, a couple games got away from them. Last night's game, obviously the Dallas Stars, and then, of course, going back to the Winnipeg Jets game when they had the 3-goal lead, but they still won those games. So, I mean, there's a lot of obviously ingredients to success, so to speak, and closing out games is one of them. And VGK, I mean, is probably the best at the league at that right now, based on these stats that we're unearthing right now, Tony.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that the total will stay at around 5.5, or do you think?
It should. I think so. I mean, if you give me 30 seconds, I'll tell you.
Well,
so
and the Golden Knights
was good.
Minus 135. What did they go off?
They were 130. So it was actually minus 130 most of the day, and it dropped a nickel to 135 a little before a puck dropped. A little before a puck drop. I checked,
and
like
5.5 was the total. 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5. So this game, VGK again, it's still minus 130 and 5.5.
5.5
So
again.
they're waiting to see what the public does. That line's going to shift no more than a nickel either way. If I had to guess, some Stars money is probably going to come in. You have to assume that the Stars are going to have a better game. It's not going to go to 135 or 140, I don't think. And the total isn't going to it's 110 on both sides. So, I mean, the books are getting their two-way action. They're going to leave it there.
I'm still liking the over in that game. And the Golden Knights did a really good job in getting behind Dallas there. And they played very well below the goal line last night, too.
They won all the board battles. They won every board battle, it seemed like.
And Martinez, again, I thought he played a terrific game, though.
Big blocks.
He had some big blocks in the game. And he also, wasn't that his shot that went off the post and trickled right down the goal line? I thought that was
I didn't see who shot that. All I saw was Marcho standing right on the goal line, like not sure what to do.
Yeah.
So
this
is
around.
weird. So here's a little thing, guys. You guys should hit me on Twitter and ask, when me and my son, usually during the second period, we go and take a little walk. We go outside sometimes, like on the balcony. We sometimes go on the lower bowl and maybe hang in the back and kind of get a different vantage points. This happened in the Edmonton series where VGK got those 2 power play goals. We were outside for both of those. And then yesterday, as we were crossing like the bridge before you go outside onto the balcony at T-Mobile, that's when the first Golden Knights goal happened. So, when me and Chris go and take a walk, good things happen.
Okay, so take more walks, more laps around T-Mobile Arena.
We'll get our steps in, I guess. It's an expensive gym, that's for sure.
Coming up on Monday's show, it'll be show number 600 for us. Show number 600 coming up on Monday. It's a milestone. And yeah, a lot of folks.
The over definitely hit on that one.
Yeah, definitely hit on that one. And of course, we'll be talking about a recap of game number 2, and we'll talk about the upcoming games in Dallas. That's all coming your way. We'd like to thank our everydayers for tuning in. We appreciate everyone that watches us, listens to us. You could find us wherever you get your podcast.
Chirps us.
All the chirps, all the Vegas Bjorn nonsense. There are some very funny photos that they put up there too. Just follow us at Locked On VGK, at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G. For the everydayers especially, we thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again on Monday. This has been the special weekend edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Take care, everyone.